welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then don't forget to subscribe down below, and without much further ado, let's get on with the video. Before I get started with today's video, I just wanted to quickly shout out a little brand that decided they wanted to work with me, and I'm still really thankful for it, and that is Tea Addict on Instagram. Now, they actually gifted me this shirt, which, look at it, look at how snazzy. Snazzy. I'll obviously leave links in the description. They didn't ask me to say any of this on YouTube because I've already talked about them on Instagram, but I love their t-shirts so much that I recommend. Also today I'm sporting my Arya hairstyle because I am living for Arya right now. Okay, if you watched Battle of Winterfell, you know what I'm talking about, but this is my Arya hair, and I really want to cosplay Arya because, oh my god, she's a badass. Anyway, we're talking about Marvel today, not Game of Thrones. We'll probably do that at some other point, but Arya. Now, this is going to have spoilers in it. It is not going to be spoiler free, so if you haven't seen the film yet, first of all, come on, get on it, okay? Go and watch the film. Second of all, click off this video because there is many spoilers ahead, and once you've heard these spoilers, you can't watch the film the same. You just can't. So if you haven't seen it yet, I'll see you when you have seen it. Okay, you all gone? First things first, did I like the film? And that is going to be a massive yes. I think it exceeded what I could have possibly imagined it doing. It has been an amazing film. It hit 1.2 billion in opening weekend, which, if you don't know films, that's a lot, okay? That's a crazy amount of money. Now, to keep this review very concise and very to the point, because otherwise it will literally be hours and hours and hours long, I have so much that I want to say about Endgame, I decided to go with the format of asking you guys to ask me questions to answer surrounding the film and the MCU in general, and you guys did not disappoint, okay? I got so many questions, I'm actually shook, and I'm so thankful for all of you that are so invested in me being invested in Endgame. Like, it genuinely is the nicest thing, and I had so many people being like, when Bucky came on screen I thought of you, and I was just like, thank you. Also, another thing crazy that happened on the 26th of April when Endgame came out is that HAYNES hit 15k, and it's so hard to put into words how that feels because it's crazy. Like, it's actually insane. Like, I just sit in my room that's a complete mess, put a camera in front of my face, and apparently you guys enjoy that. It means the world, and I can't thank you guys enough for subscribing. And I thought maybe we might hit 15k by the end of the year, but to do it before even like halfway through the year is crazy, and I just thank you, okay? Just thank you, and I can't wait to keep making things, and hopefully more people will join and we'll create a little army. An army that can go and defeat Cersei. I'm in Game of Thrones mode now. Okay, I'm gonna start off with the main question I got, and I got this so much. It must be about 40% of these questions were just this one question, and that is, how did you feel about Sam getting the shield, / how did you feel about Bucky not getting the shield, / how did you feel about the entire ending with Steve, Bucky and Sam and Peggy and all that. So we're gonna go there first, okay? Because I have very strong opinions on this. Very strong opinions. Let's first go to Steve's ending because that's kind of the prominent thing here. Obviously, he takes the stones back, which kind of has plot holes, but we'll go into that in a little while. But he takes the stones back and he sees an opportunity that he can go and live his life that he deserves to live with the love of his life, who is Peggy, right? Cool. So he goes, stays with Peggy until I guess she passes away, and then he rejoins our timeline to be like, hey guys, I lived my life. How are you guys? Here, have a shield, right? And I thought it was the best possible ending they could have given us. 3 things could have happened, right? 1, he carried on being Captain America, and everyone would have been like, we want to see him as Captain America, but he should have ended. Like, we've had Captain America, and people be complaining about the fact that he's still playing Captain America, even though he said he wasn't going to be playing Captain America, and etc, etc. I think this Captain America storyline, while I would love to see more of it, it wrapped itself up perfectly, and I accept that side. I don't think that pushing Steve on would have worked. The second ending could have been that Steve could have died, okay? We all saw Tony die, okay? And we all know how that felt. Did we really want to see it twice? Did we? Did we? No. So he could have died, and if you read the comics, and yes, I'm going to be that person because I have read some of the Captain America comics, and I know how Captain America dies and then retires. If you read the comics, he dies in one comic, and then Bucky picks up the shield and is like, I'm going to take Captain America's place and look after this shield and do my best and kind of fight for Steve, okay? And then obviously Steve comes back in the comics, and then inevitably he retires, which comes on to the third ending that it could have been, which is his retirement, which is this beautiful little storyline in the comics where Sam becomes Captain America, okay? So in the comics, I can't remember how it exactly happens, but Steve is aged so much that he can't fight as Captain America anymore, so he goes, you know what? I'm done, I'm gonna retire. Sam, hun, have the shield, you can take up the legacy. Enjoy. I thought it was such a great ending to kind of have him go back in time, live his life out, that's how he ages, and then retire, and then give it to Sam, because, okay, yes, Bucky is my favourite character, we all know this, but I don't think Bucky needs it. Bucky himself doesn't even want it. Like, I've always read Bucky as a character that just wants to not fight anymore, he just wants to live out his life, trying to just kind of get back to a certain level of mentality where he feels okay again because he's been used as this weapon for so long. Why would he want to fight as Captain America when he fought against America for so long? And like, it just, I think to Bucky, he doesn't want it, he doesn't need it, he has his vibranium arm, why does he need a vibranium shield as well, okay? It would be epic to watch, but he doesn't need it, okay? He doesn't need it. Also, think of the TV show, which is gonna come to Disney Plus at the end of the year, which is Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? Falcon has the shield. Bucky has his arm. Dynamic. Imagine it, imagine it. And also I can just imagine the storyline being like Sam doesn't think he's worthy enough to hold the shield, and then Bucky's there like, dude, you are worthy, okay? Cap gave it to you, he wants you to have it, live your best life, okay? That's my roundabout way of seeing that ending. I think the retirement storyline was the perfect way to end it. Also, there is a hashtag going around on Twitter, I believe it is, which is #NotMySteve. And basically what people are saying is that they don't believe that Steve would go back in time and sabotage Peggy's life, okay? They really, really think that Steve Rogers is the kind of person that is gonna belittle Peggy and not let her live her best life. I'm sorry, but have we been watching the same films? Like, this Steve Rogers wants to empower everyone he sees, and I cannot think of anything other than Steve doing that Will Smith pose that Will Smith did to his wife at that premiere once, Peggy being his wife, you know, that's the level that I feel like Steve is at. He will always be lifting Peggy up, he will never be the front man in front of Peggy. I feel like he would have gone into like hiding as much as he could and just kind of lived his life quietly, with Peggy being the badass that she is, carrying on her life, okay? And if you really think that Steve is gonna sabotage Peggy, have you been paying attention? Also to people, this is the thing that's got me, people are saying not my Steve and saying that he, one, was homophobic because he left Bucky, which, look, I wanted Bucky and Steve to get together as much as the next person, but did we really, really think it was going to happen? Did we really? I don't. But I'm with you till the end of the line, pal. That is a line that's been going through the entirety of the Captain America films, okay? And I love that line a lot. And everyone is saying that Steve didn't stay to his word and didn't go with him till the end of the line. In what world is Steve retiring equal to Steve dying, okay? Steve is still there, and I can still see him and Bucky going off on a Saturday, having a little stroll around a park, you know, Steve pointing at a little bird and then Bucky getting really happy that he's seeing a bird, like, I don't know why I went to a bird. I can see them having lovely Saturday afternoons, just chilling, talking, having a good time as pals, and if you really, really, really think that Steve abandoned Bucky, which was for literally 3 minutes to Bucky, okay, then I'm sorry, but you've misread the character. That's the one strong opinion I have about this whole thing. Like, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but how can you think that Steve would leave Bucky when he didn't? Like, he went for 3 minutes. He lived his life, sure, but he still came back to Bucky. He could have just stayed in his alternate timeline and just lived his life there, but no, he was like, you know what, I'm gonna come back and breathe. I'm very, very, very opinionated on that very specific topic. Usually I'm not this opinionated on Marvel things to a degree where it gets me angry, but that hashtag. Oh. Okay, the next question is surrounding Hulk. I've had many questions like, what did you feel about his merge with Banner? What did you feel about just Hulk in general? How did you feel about his like CGI, his look, everything like that? So really quickly, I felt that it was odd. unexpected, and I genuinely thought I was on drugs for half of the film. I thought someone had spiked me and I didn't know what was happening. I also thought I was dreaming. It was a very odd time for me, but now looking back and having really thought about it, I think it's hilarious, and I think it's such a stupidly funny thing for the film to have done. I'm mildly annoyed that we didn't get to see that Hulk Banner mix creation happen, but at the same time, it just added so much weird humour to the film that I wasn't expecting at all. And also it was mildly an uncanny valley, but definitely the CGI and the effects have got better since Infinity War, which is crazy because it's literally been a year. So yeah, it was odd, and I genuinely thought I was dreaming it for half of the time, but looking back, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed Hulk Banner, Banner Hulk. Yeah, I didn't appreciate the dabbing, but who does appreciate dabbing, really? I also got questions about Thor, because of course in this film Thor is not the buff god that we know. He is very different in this film. All the toys that were released are lies, except for like one figure set the Disney store came out with. Pop vinyls are lies, okay? They're all lies. But I thought what they did with Thor was amazing, and I enjoyed it. Very, very much I enjoyed it, because it showed how he really dealt with everything that happened, and it also showed that he doesn't need to be this muscly guy who is visibly like stereotypically powerful and strong with his muscles and everything. He just needs himself. He needs to believe in himself, and he needs to work his man bun and his beard, and he just needs to live his best life, and utilize Stormbreaker, utilize Mjolnir, and just live his best life. And he did that, and I'm very excited for Guardians of the Galaxy 3/Thor 4. Whichever it will be. But I enjoyed Thor in this film. Thought he was great. He gave us some of the best moments. Thanos' head went bye-bye and I screamed. I don't know if it was out loud or internally, but I screamed, and nothing could have prepared me. Genuinely, the first 20 minutes of that film was a roller coaster that I wasn't expecting. Thoughts about Loki. Okay, we're gonna go there. We're gonna go to Loki. So, with that, I also go on to another question, which is someone asking me how I felt about the time travel in this film. Now, the time travel is so confusing that I think they don't want us to question it, because when you try and think about it, you just get confused and angry and then kind of give up after a little while, and then you come back to it and the same thing happens. What I get from it is each time they go back in time, they create an alternate timeline, which kind of coincides with the idea of there being multiple Earths in the comics and then multiple universes and stuff, but then that kind of goes against that because you can't use the Infinity Stones from one universe in another universe. But is it a different universe if there is other Earths? It's very confusing, very but what I did take away from this is that the timeline that we know, the Endgame timeline, which is how we've seen it for the past 10 years, is static. It is there, it's not being changed. It's concrete, okay? It's set in stone. And then from that, when you go back in time, you go into an alternate timeline, so what could have happened kind of thing. And by changing one of those timelines, you make a new timeline that goes on in itself, if that makes sense. So basically what I'm trying to say is, yes, Loki might have died in Infinity War, if you believe that, which I personally don't, because he was off screen for way too long and I never trust Loki. But in the 2012 timeline, Loki exists. Loki's got the Tesseract, and I really feel like that's what's going to segue into the Loki TV series, and that's going to be that plot. But I don't know how I feel about that, because I kind of wanted Loki to be about the redeemed Loki instead of the 2012 still an idiot kid Loki, you know? So I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm very excited. So in that, Loki is alive. Technically, he has a stone. That's what's happening with Loki, and then obviously you have the timelines working in a sense of, in 2014, Thanos died, so then 2014's timeline onwards won't be the same outcome as our timeline, and also obviously Nebula died in that timeline, so 2014 doesn't have a Thanos, doesn't have a Nebula, and then Gamora is in our timeline now, so Gamora did die, but we stole another Gamora from 2014 and brought her over here. It's really confusing, and believe me, I've tried to understand this, and if anyone has any very, very clear documents or pictures or what have you of exactly the timeline, please leave it in the comments for everyone else to look at, because boy, it hurts your head. It really, really does. Should Iron Man be recast in the current timeline, or is an MCU reboot in order? I don't think he should be recast. Robert Downey Jr. did an amazing job. It ended beautifully. I cried so gosh darn hard, and they don't need to reboot the MCU because there is so much content that they can go down. Yes, we're not going to have the Avengers in the way we did, but that's okay because there is so much content in the comics that they can draw from that we can get new superheroes and ones that we might not know as much, which it's annoying if you want to see the originals, but they did good, and I think they rounded it off really nicely, and Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, and you can't take that away from him. You just can't. Black Widow's death. Thoughts? Okay, so Black Widow's death I thought was beautiful, and I knew it was going to happen as soon as they said they were going to vomit and it was those two going. I was like, oh god, one of these two is going to die, and everyone was like, oh, it's going to be Hawkeye because like he has a family, but Nat will be able to look after his family, and he's the one that did the stuff that was unredeemable in those 5 years and all that kind of stuff. But if you watch this film and you see Nat from the beginning of, like, after they tried to kill Thanos again, she is depressed. And I mean, she is like on the edge, okay? She is extremely depressed. You can tell this through just her body language, her mentality of what's happening. Her hair, she doesn't look after her hair, which is a sign of depression. It just kind of brings it together as such a good way to end her character, because if you think about it, right, she was an assassin, obviously, in the beginning years of her life. She was a spy, she was a bad person, and then she met the Avengers, she started working with the Avengers, she kind of built up this family that she didn't know she could have. She became Steve's friend in Winter Soldier, like thoroughly Steve's friend, and then obviously she spilt her secrets to the world in Winter Soldier so she could save the world. And if that's not character development in itself, I don't know what it is. And that kind of proves that Natasha will do anything to save the people she loves and to save the planet. And then to have her in this film sacrifice herself in the way she did, I thought was amazing, because from the beginning of the film you can tell that she will do anything to save her family, save the people she loves, and she just doesn't even think about it. She's like, I'm going, I need to go, it's me, it's gonna happen. And I really enjoyed how they kept it exactly the same shot for shot with the actual death as Gamora. It kind of proves there is no way around getting the Soul Stone. You have to die in the same way, it will always happen that way. And yeah, one thing I didn't get is Natasha isn't stupid. She'll have read files about Captain America, so surely she'll have heard of Red Skull. So surely, like, I mean, she might not have, but like, you know. But yeah, I think it was a really good send-off for her, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it made me love Natasha even more so that also I bought a newest pop vinyl, which is Natasha, because she deserves a place on my pop vinyl shelf, okay? Yeah, she does. I miss her. I didn't realise how much her character meant to me until she died, and then I was like, oh, here come the tears. Okay, we're gonna come to the biggest moment because I loved it so much. Thoughts on Cap picking up Thor's hammer. Mjolnir. Mjolnir. I will never be able to pronounce that right. I know how to pronounce it, just my mouth will not form it. That moment, I want tattooed on the insides of my eyelids, so whenever I close my eyes, I can just see it, okay? It was everything and more, and I feel so honoured and privileged to have witnessed that in the cinema with the people I did and the entirety of that audience. We lost it. Like, I've never heard such an active audience. We clapped, we whooped, someone screamed, someone cheered, like, hello? There was clapping, there was cheering, there was a lot going on, and it was just nothing like I've ever experienced before. Don't know if that was English, but it was amazing, and I'm really excited to see it again, which by the time I put this video out, I'm sure I'll have seen it at least once or maybe twice more. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it was great. I think it was such a good thing to bring it back to Age of Ultron. I really did think Age of Ultron was going to play a part in this film, and to have it like that, just, yeah, I really enjoyed it. When he runs and then he spins it and then he smacks Thanos and then the noise that it makes, and just, oh, I loved it. How badass is Cap in Endgame? It's funny you should mention the word ass, because that's America's ass. I made the most cursed meme. I thought about it all day after I watched the film. I'll put it on the screen. Yeah, it took me 20 minutes. That's 20 minutes I'll never get back, but it was worth it because I still laugh at it. Were you happy with how much screen time Bucky got? Now, there is two things to this. One, I feel like he didn't need more because people have been sitting on Winter Soldier for so long and been sitting on Bucky that I accept that he's not going to be the big character yet. But he has his TV show. He has at least 6 hours of Winter Soldier content, so I'm happy that he wasn't in it as much as he was. The only thing I wish for is that the end of the film, he got a little bit more time with Steve, just like a tiny little, like, I don't know, just something extra. But I did really like how they kind of had their conversation, bringing it back to the first film when he was like, don't do anything stupid till I get back. How can I when you're taking all the stupid with you? Like, that was full circle, and in that moment I think Bucky knew exactly what Steve was going to do, and just, yeah. So I'm okay with the fact that Bucky wasn't in as much. People really seem to forget who Bucky is and forget he's a character, even though the second Captain America film, 1, wouldn't exist without the Winter Soldier, and 2, is called the Winter Soldier. Yet nobody knows the name Winter Soldier, apparently. I work in the Disney store. I've asked many people if they know who Winter Soldier is. Maybe like 10% of people know. If that. What rating would you give it out of 5 stars? And I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I think every film has room for improvement. There are moments that I might have changed. I don't think it needed to be as long as it was, while I did enjoy every second of it. I don't know, I feel like there might have been moments. Also, I would have changed the way they put the gay character in, because yes, it was a Russo and I very much enjoyed that, and I thought it was great that the Russo was in the film, but to make him the openly gay character after hyping it up for so long kind of was like a kick in the teeth, so that was annoying. That would be the thing I like might change, and yeah, but like overall, like as a film, it was stunning and I'm very excited to watch it again. People are asking me just Iron Man ? Thoughts on Iron Man? I think he kind of, his ending, his storyline, his arc, everything was kind of perfect, and I wouldn't change any of it. And yes, I'm gonna miss Iron Man, but also it was just the perfect way of ending it. And when Tony actually died, that wasn't what made me sad. Like, I was crying, obviously, I was sad, but it wasn't the thing that like got me. It was when Pepper said, "It's okay, you can rest now." Whenever I think about that, I get super emotional because, oh god, Tony has been trying so hard to protect the Earth, and he fully protected it from the one thing that was going to completely destroy his planet. So I think it was just a beautiful ending, and I'm going to be crying for the rest of my days, I'm sure. Especially considering I have to see Tony Stark merch every time I go to work. Yay. Next question is, who is your favourite female Marvel character? Now, if we're talking about the entirety of Marvel in general, my favourite is probably Rogue from X-Men, because I love her and I love Anna Paquin and I love how she portrayed Rogue and everything. But if we're just talking the MCU and this universe that they've created, hopefully they bring in the X-Men and bring in Rogue, but who knows. My favourite female character, let me think. I just want to pause this video really quickly because as I'm editing it, I go on to say like I love all these female characters and blah blah blah, which is true. I do love all the female characters. But after watching Endgame for a second time, I fully realised how much I love Scarlet Witch and how much I love Black Widow, okay? So it's Scarlet Witch or Black Widow. And when they all mothered Peter was just beautiful, and I know there is very much a divide between it was very on the nose or it was very empowering. I personally found it empowering because it was kind of being like, look, you think that superhero movies are just for men? Well, look at all these women that are also superheroes, and as someone that works in the Disney store that gets the question, oh, but my daughter can't wear that because that's a superhero costume, that's Spider-Man, she can't wear that. It was really nice to see all of the female characters that they've created on the screen at one time be like, no, look, there are female superheroes, you silly billies, and you can wear their costumes. So, yeah, I enjoyed that moment. Next one is crying. As we all know, I get very emotionally attached to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Anytime there was any news about anything, I would start crying. I vividly remember sitting and watching Avengers Assemble with my entire friend group back in 2012, and just since then, because I can't really remember being younger than 12 apparently, but since then, Marvel has been a very big part of my life, and it's just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I just really like superhero movies, and it just makes me sad and emotional to see all these characters. I cried a lot, in short. I started crying like aggressively from Vormir, from Natasha's death, all the way to the end. It had its moments where it got worse, like cheeseburgers, Love You 3000, It's Okay, You Can Rest Now, Peggy and Cap. That was an emotional roller coaster. The one that I purely was like, was Cap was like, don't do anything stupid till I get back, and then Bucky was like, you're taking all the stupid with you, because I love the Captain America film so much, and it really hit me in the face, and yeah, I sobbed. My friend Fran had given us tissues before the film. We all said good luck to each other, so yeah, we knew that we were going to cry. There was no way we were coming out of that film dry-eyed. I get attached to fictional characters. How much do you hurt? On a general basis, a lot. If you're talking just about the MCU, a lot. What is your take on Thanos' t-shirt? I actually have a t-shirt a lot like the one he wears on the farm. Yeah, it was just odd seeing Thanos just kind of like on a farm, just chilling, in retirement, you know. He destroyed half the universe, but that's fine. He can make his carrots or whatever space fruit he wants to make, you know. It's fine. Okay, so someone asked me, how the hell did Cap return all the stones in their natural state to where they were? Now this is something that's been really bothering me because, okay, this is how I see it happening. So he goes back in time to whatever year he goes back in time to. I don't think it really matters as long as all those stones end up in the place they're meant to end up. I think the only ones that he has to take specifically back is the Mind Stone to 2012. So if he went to 2012 first, right, he gives back the Mind Stone, which he didn't take in the staff, so that's mildly confusing unless he goes and actually just gives the Mind Stone to Loki to put in his staff. The next stones are the Power Stone and the Soul Stone, so I can see him using Mjolnir and flying off to Morad. He gives the Power Stone back there, right? He puts it back in the little thing and everything's fine, even though they don't have the cup anymore, so it's just the stone, so he somehow puts it back there. Also in 2012 he gives obviously back the Time Stone. So he's on Morad, he spins Mjolnir again, goes over to Vormir, or he gets in a little rocket ship that was shrunk down, and yeah, so he's on Vormir now. He sees Red Skull. He has to see Red Skull to give the Soul Stone back. Can we have that moment, please, on film? Because I need that. But also, does he just hand the Soul Stone back? Like, you know what, mate? I don't need it. It may have killed my friend, but we're good. You can keep it. Goodbye. And then just leave. He then has to take the ether back to Asgard, so he uses Mjolnir again to go back to Asgard, leaves the hammer there, and I guess stabs Natalie Portman in the butt again with the stabby thing, but then it's on a stone, so how did they turn the ether into the stone? Does it just do it? I can't remember, but there you go. It has to be turned back into an ether because the stone needs to be in Natalie Portman for them to carry on with Thor, but then that's confusing. The thing that gets me though is, say he uses the quantum realm serum stuff to go back to 1970 to be with Peggy in that timeline. He gives back the space stone, right? The space stone is no longer the Tesseract. There is no box anymore. So he just rocks up and goes, hey, first of all, yeah, it's me, Captain America, not in the ice anymore. Second of all, here is your stone back. It isn't in its box anymore, but I'm sure that's fine. Merry Christmas. Like, how does that work? Like, none of the stones are in the things that they were initially in. So how? The only one that doesn't really matter is the Time Stone because he just gives it back and then she can put it in her little necklace. But the other ones, it's very confusing and I'm very confused and yeah, I'm confused. I don't think we're meant to think about it this much, but did they really think we wouldn't think about it this much? Whose death was harder, Black Widow or Stark? 100% Stark, because I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't realise he was going to wield the Iron Gauntlet and then be the badass he is and save the planet and then be really, really sad when Pepper comes along and says, it's okay, you can rest. What did you think of the final battle? It was epic. A Lego set kind of ruined it for me because the Lego set that came out is the Avengers HQ battle, and as soon as the HQ got bombed, I was like, oh, the Lego set was right. Okay, cool. We're having the fight here then. But it was epic and I enjoyed every second of it. And I cannot wait to see it again because when they open all the portals and then Falcon's like, on your left, oh my god. It's everything. It's everything. Favourite time travel moment, I loved Cap fighting Cap. I also enjoyed that. I really, really, really liked what they did with that scene because I don't think anyone ever could have expected that. I also really enjoyed how when they lost the Tesseract in 2012, like obviously because everything happened and all the commotion and Hulk coming down the stairs and all that, which is a really good piece of music by the way, if you listen to the soundtrack. That moment is called Take the Stairs, I think. It's really good to listen to. Anyway, that moment when Loki sees the Tesseract, he follows it and he's just like, swipe, and he just takes it and then flies away, and that was a very funny moment to me. But yeah, no, Cap fighting Cap and America's ass. Like, that weird joke that they were like, let's put this in and keep it running for like a good 5 minutes was just beautiful. And then I can do this all day. Yeah, I know. And then them going in the lift and it being literally Winter Soldier again, and then Hail Hydra. I forgot the Hail Hydra moment. It's amazing. It's amazing. Also, that was a nod to the comics, and I just... Yes. What moment shocked you the most in Endgame? That was definitely them chopping off Thanos' head in the first 20 minutes, because really, was anyone expecting that? And what shocked me the least was that the characters came back perfectly fine. Did we really think they were going to keep T'Challa and Peter dusted? Both Peters, to be exact, because they've all got sequels and it just wouldn't have made sense. And yeah, but I like how they did it, and it made me like Doctor Strange a lot more. Captain Marvel's haircut, yes, it was. It made me more attracted to her, so we love that. One thing that no one actually asked me about was Korg's re-entrance into the MCU. Obviously, the last time we saw him was Thor Ragnarok. He was on the ship with Thor, and then obviously half of the ship left with Valkyrie, and then Thor and Loki had their moment with Thanos, and then they all kind of came together on New Asgard. The thing I loved so much about that moment, and not a lot of people, I don't think anyone that I know realised, but Korg is wearing Taika Waititi's Hawaiian romper from Comic-Con. I'll put a picture on the screen right now of Taika's romper, but basically he wears these like floral Hawaiian rompers a lot, and Korg was wearing it. And I thought that was just a tiny little touch that was hilarious, and no one else seemed to know what it was. Also, hardly anyone got 2 more references. One of them was the dude that played Jarvis. In Agent Carter, the TV series, which is amazing. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It was probably the best of the Marvel TV series, in my opinion. And finally, Harley showing up at the funeral. So many people were like, who is that kid? And I was like, you serious? It's Harley. It's clearly Harley from Iron Man 3, the kid that helps Tony. And that's my thoughts on Endgame. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think the ending was beautiful, and I really scared to rewatch it because it was so sad, but everything I could have wanted. Yeah, I'm really happy and proud to be alive when such a phenomenon is occurring. Like, cinemas are crazy right now. It's just so cool, and I'm really excited for what Marvel's going to do. I'm excited for Disney Plus to come out so we can get our TV shows, and I'm just ready. I'm really just ready. But that is going to do it for today's very long video. If you enjoyed it, then please do not forget to subscribe just here. Click on my previous video just here, and here will be a link to a recommended video. But until next time, bye!